Hey everyone, welcome to week 6 discussion on ethical violations and board disciplines. I'm going to skip through all the questions, just kind of jump right in. As per my research for this particular project, clinical mental health counselors can be disciplined for various violations, both clinical and non-clinical, and also non-field related. The loss of licensure can be due to a range of violations from defaulting on school loans to professional misconduct. Florida State Statute 491 regulates the clinical counseling and psychotherapy fields, and it defines and constitutes what violations can suspend or revoke a clinician's license to practice. For my research here, I found 4 of the most common reasons for a board to discipline a counselor. The first one is failing to meet continuing education requirements for the field, followed by number 2, which was dual relationships, which is having inappropriate relationships with your client, like sexual or romantic. The third one was unprofessional conduct, which could be like misleading advertisement or harassing or intimidating or abusing your clients. And then the other one was professional misrepresentation, which is unacceptable business practices, such as falsifying reports or testifying in court and lying, things of that nature. And there was one more, which is also the top 5, which was convicted of non-counseling related crimes, such as driving under the influence, narcotics, or child abuse, or things of that nature. So anything that would be found to be as immoral turpitude. My initial reaction was pretty surprising to see that failing to meet the continuing educational requirements was at the top of the list. And primarily because it's just so easy to or at least in my opinion, it's so easy to complete your continuing education. So I honestly thought I was going to be expecting dual relationships to be at the top. That was the one I was expecting to be at the top, but man, surprising. Surprise. All right. And then as for, picking a case, I wasn't able to find any cases in Florida that would allow me to see the cause of the disciplinary action. I can only see the final disposition. So I went to the public records at the state of New York. So the information that I'm about to share with you is public information and can be found at nysed.gov and is from the Office of Professions, Professional Misconduct Enforcement. So I'd like to talk about the counselor in New York. She was sanctioned on May 4th, 2020, so it's a pretty recent case. Her name is June M. Conboy from Dix Hills, New York. And basically, she was disciplined for violating confidentiality. According to the summary, it says that the licensee did not contest the charge of revealing personally identifiable facts, data, or information obtained in a professional capacity without the prior consent of the patient or client, except as authorized or required by law. So in essence, she grabbed somebody's information without their permission and used it outside of what it was supposed to be used for. So the code of ethics that she violated for the ACA was section B1B, which is respect for privacy. The counselor respects the privacy and the prospects of current clients or prospective clients. And then the second one is also section B.1.c, which is respect for confidentiality, which is counselor protects the confidential information of prospective or current clients, and they're not supposed to disclose anything unless they have express permission from the client themselves or a court order or something to that effect. And then also in the state of New York, because I couldn't find anything in Florida, so since I used the state of New York case, the state of New York, she violated New York consolidated laws, mental hygiene law, which is MHY State Statute 33.13, which is clinical records and confidentiality. Of course, that's for the mental health. As far as the outcome for her, the discipline for that breach of confidentiality, according, and this is verbatim for what they say on the case, it says action. Application for consent order granted, penalty agreed upon is 1 month actual suspension, 23 months stayed suspension, and then she's on a 2 years probation when she comes back. So that's the discipline that was given to her. So, that was for that case. And then the thing goes on to ask, or at least the class goes on to ask a question about counselor impairment. So it says, what does the ACA Code Ethics in your state, what does the ACA Code of Ethics and your state code say about counselor impairment? So basically the ACA in section C, C.2.G talks about impairment for the counselors. It says counselors monitor themselves for signs of impairment from their own physical, mental, or emotional problems and refrain from offering or providing professional services when impaired. So basically the gist of it is they're supposed to go and seek their own assistance to help them to go through stuff, go through their own counseling, and they're supposed to be liable for their own, for identifying their own impairment, which I find a little But since I'm going to be practicing in the state of Florida, their state statute is 456.076, paragraph E, which defines impairment as impairment means a potentially impairing health condition that is the result of the misuse or abuse of alcohol, drugs, or both, or a mental or physical condition that could affect a practitioner's ability to practice with skill and safety. So that's Florida's definition for the impairment. So what questions does that bring to me or to my mind? If a counselor has a private practice, who's going to determine whether the practitioner has an impairment? That's number one. And if the counselor is not willing to do it themselves, then who makes them do it? Because, we understand that counselors have to run a business too. So, that's just, and I know that we're supposed to be running on the honesty deal here. And then the other one would be is what protocols should be in place at their private practice or the place that they work at to prevent impairment or identify impairment or keep an impaired counselor from practicing. So those would be the questions that come to mind for me. And that's it. I know I kind of rushed through it because I want it to be less than 5 minutes, but this is 8 minutes long, so I just don't know how to keep these things short. Anyways, class, you guys have any critiques or any questions or anything like that, go ahead, shoot it at me. We'll take it into consideration, use it. If not, hey, a grain of salt, check it over your back. You guys have a blessed week. Thank you for tuning in, listening in, and have a good one.